what she said.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and join me tonight, it's Chris, the six-man Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey. That's it.
Ooh, that was a deep one. Stats. Nice. That's all right. I didn't think that all the way through. And the injury replacement all-star is Joey McCrowski. Get that, Joe.
I've got a fact. If you guys
get a fact. Here's the facts.
Ooh. We are 32 days from the Bulls' first preseason game.
Wow, sicko.
Oh, we're talking
32 days, boys. Now. Hey,
sicko shit back there. Basketball's back. Somebody help this man. He's already done Bulls season. Oh my god.
I'm part of the problem, guys. I'm well aware.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem.
It's me. Hi. Jerry Reinsdorf is not the problem. It's people like me.
But cleaning up all our visual audio problems, it is for visual that added in there, huh? Never mind. Adam, the professional runs. How the levels tonight, Adam?
They are fantastic, and I have a fact for you.
Ooh, it is.
The fact is that Dove chocolate, the dark chocolate with peanut butter, I would say rivals, if not betters, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Whoa, that is a blasphemous take. I am a hardcore Reese's fan.
I didn't believe it either, and I tried it, and it's amazing. So you should try it out.
Dark chocolate, peanut butter, not sponsored by Dove.
Top 10 list candy pod, do it.
Oh, we could do that. Easy.
Just list of Trader Joe's.
You know, Trader Joe's. When I come back next week, I believe I'll have a review or next episode. Well, here we are, part 2 of the case against Jordan. Hotly debated. The
part 1
Box
was
Out
so
Boys.
hotly debated. We needed 3 weeks off to just recover from.
We needed 3 weeks off because we had some snafus. One, I wasn't ready for the initial date. The research was too much. Actually, it ended up being pretty easy. I was a little busy, and then Chris got sick. So hey, it is what it is.
Still recovering.
He's still recovering. But here we are. We're back for part 2. So last time on part 1 of the case against Jordan, we covered who played better competition. Somewhat. I believe I got the boys a better visual graphic so they can see this stuff. So in the background, when we eventually do a rebuttal podcast, they should have some information. So, but tonight we are covering one of the other things that is often debated. Who played with better teammates? Who had the better teams? Who had more help is what they say. LeBron had so much help. Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, super team, Anthony Davis. But the real question I had was who really had more help? And to do that, I broke it down to some categories. I will show you guys how I broke it down, and then we'll go through each category. We'll debate it. We'll talk about it, and then we'll announce our numbers. We got some hard numbers here at the end, so it was actually very helpful. This one was pretty straightforward. I feel a little less subjective than the opponent stuff, because that did get a little grayer about like which teams are really good and all this. So the first category I had, so went season by season, and this is the other thing too. I think a lot of times you'll see one thing that like frustrates me about this debate, and I get it. It's it's the internet, but you get these Facebook memes, and it'll be like LeBron standing next to Derrick Rose and Shaq on his team and all these other things. I'm like, yeah, I get it. He played with Shaq, but he did not play with prime Shaq. He did not play with prime Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was just on the Cavs at one point. Stuff like that. So I went season by season, and I counted up how many all-star teammates they had. And then the important ones to me were the all-NBA teammates they had. So all-NBA, if you are not familiar with it, is essentially the top 15 players in the league. Although at some point Jordan there was only 2 all-NBA teams for a portion of his career. Actually, I don't think it mattered. And then there's the all-defense team, which is the top 10 defenders in the league, essentially by position. So that's also another thing. And then I went with award winners. So that's 6-man. That's MVP, Defensive Player of the Year.
MVP,
Yep.
Those guys.
All that good stuff. Most improved. And then I felt like that wasn't enough. So I added in a second another category called league leaders. That was just kind of fun. So NBA Reference, and we might not spend too much time on this because this is a little kind of confusing about how this goes, but NBA Reference keeps track of 50 different statistical categories for each season and just post the league leader in those categories, who led the entire league in each category. And I just kept track of how many guys led the league in a category that were on their team. So, guys, did this seem fair? A fair way to do it? What kind of interested you the most? I know you guys have seen some of the stats. This won't be a surprise like last time. But Joey, was this a fair way to look at this? Did you kind of give any more weight to something different? Like for me, all-star teams, as much as it did weight, because you had to be an all-star player, I did understand that that's a fan vote, and it's to me wasn't as big a deal to say all-NBA. What did you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the approach makes sense. I think some of these categories are obviously much more important. As you said, all-NBA is much more true representation, I think, of a player's ability. Also, when we talk all-stars, all-stars is the first category, and then like league leaders is one of the last categories. And the difference on both sides, I think, difference in the amount of all-star selections for some of their teammates and then league leaders. Like you would think that those numbers would almost correlate, because if you're the league leader in some of these bigger statistical categories, you would probably be, kind of knocking on the door of being an all-star nominee. But that's not necessarily the case. So yeah. I think to that point, the all-star nominations are not, don't carry that much weight, which makes sense because it's a purely voted on, and almost at times it's a kind of a popularity contest. It's more so now than it was then, but it's still kind of a subjective impact. So I like the approach. I think the All-NBA is probably one of the bigger one, and I think season or award winners is probably the other category that carries the weight too.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing too, I will go through and kind of debate some of the differences I did notice in particularly the all-star teams. There was definitely one thing I did notice between the eras, I will say. And we'll get into that when we get there. Chris, again, going to you. How do you feel about this layout? Is this a fair way to approach this? Going season by season versus going, all right, how many teammates did he have? Like, Dwayne Wade was a Finals MVP prior to being LeBron's teammate, but he wasn't in the season that he played with him.
We can dissect this to death. I think the way you have it going on here, also teammates, all NBAs, all the defense award winners, we can talk it through this way and kind of come to a conclusion. I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm shocked that I didn't realize Rodman was never an all-star with the Bulls.
Yeah, that is actually shocking. So we could talk about that. Because that was actually the biggest thing that I noticed with the eras is you didn't get a lot of multiple all-stars from a team in the 90s. It was rare to see more than one guy from a team on on the all-star team, and you definitely didn't see 3. Obviously there was years that Michael and Scottie both made it, but it really wasn't. I didn't really note down like the Celtics years in the 80s, but it was Bird and McHale, but was it Bird, McHale, Parrish? Was it all those guys? That's kind of the one big difference I noticed in the eras. Where in LeBron's era, like for example, when he played with the Heat, him, Wade, and Bosh were perennial all-stars, even though, maybe Bosch is kind of a weak third guy. Like, did they really need a third all-star with Bosch? I don't think that happens in the 90s. You know what I mean? Because, Rodman never made a all-star team with the Bulls. And also wildly, I mean, but if you look at, he made all-star teams prior to that with the Pistons and
too.
And he was an all or the defensive player of the year, I think, 4 times before he got to the Bulls.
Was
So
it
pretty
4?
wild.
Wow.
It was wild. It was a lot. It was like back-to-back years, and it was crazy. So, but unfortunately, for my argument, those did not happen on the Bulls years. Oh, also, I think I kind of figured out for you guys my approach to this. I think I do want to explain this. Because I think I originally framed this as coming into it with like a open mindset, but I do think I am trying. I am essentially arguing for LeBron, but I think what I'm trying to do is prove some of my arguments. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm not trying to say. I'm trying to go. This is what I believe is true, and here are some facts that I feel support that argument. That's kind of where I think I landed on after I did this one, because this was a good exercise.
You mean that the title, The Case Against Jordan,
didn't give it away?
Right.
I was
Did it
fooling
bias?
myself, Chris.
Okay.
I think it was pretty obvious.
Well, I did that originally for shocking headlines, but
I think in the first part, it was pretty obvious that this is where you were going with it. I think you were trying to convince yourself that you wouldn't need to do that, but that's where it was always going.
That's where I was always going. But I feel like I've come around on some things too. I definitely took another look at last week's stuff. Felt that was a little more even than I originally kind of thought it was. I remember not necessarily even, but maybe it kind of depends on what you weight. And I think we'll see that going forward. All right. So let's start with all-star teammates. So we'll go ahead and just go right to the bottom here. We'll give you the final numbers. So LeBron, in the course of his 20 seasons so far, has played with 17 all-star players, all-star teammates. So quite a bit. Jordan, in his 15-year career, played with 6. So first of all, there's a huge difference there.
So wait, when you say 6, you mean that there were people who are all stars? So this is what's so weird about this debate.
Okay, yes,
because you're literally just talking about Pippen versus
Pippen. Yeah.
Bosh, Kyrie, Love, and Dwayne Wade, right? It's like a 1 against 4.
Okay, we'll talk about yes. So here's what I mean is that, and this is where you can kind of look at it and say, all right, it's only Pippen as the all-star versus he has multiple all-star players, right? But what I'm looking at is the player in the year that they played with LeBron, they were or Jordan, were they an all-star or not? Like, how many teammates did he have in a given year? Yeah. So he had 6 guys essentially made the all-star team. Were they all Pippen? Yes. Now, where LeBron had 17, most of them were Wade and Bosh, and that's the other 2 were Kyrie and Love. And again, we'll just go through the list. All right, so LeBron's all-stars. Anthony Davis, yes. Yeah, so LeBron's first all-star teammate is this is actually kind of funny, is Mo Williams, who is an injury replacement all-star. This was in the 08-09 season. The Cavs were, I believe, the number 1 seed. And they just needed an all-star, and they gave it to him after, I forget who actually got injured. All right, his next run of teammates with all-stars starts in 10 and 11 with Wade and Bosh. The following year, Wade and Bosh. The following year, Wade and Bosh. The following year, Wade and Bosh. The year after is Kyrie Irving. The year after that, which is 2015, 2016, he did not have an all-star teammate. And then in 16 and 17, Kyrie and Love. Next year, Kyrie Love. 18 and 19, he goes to LA, and it's Davis, Davis, Davis. The next 3 years. And then the last 2 years, he has not had an all-star teammate. So, yes. Multiple years, he had multiple all-star teammates for that one. And LeBron. So we'll go to Jordan. His first time with an all-star teammate is actually 89-90, the season prior to the championship. Scotty. 90-91, he does not have an all-star teammate. In 91-92, starts the run again. It's Pippen, 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 Pippen. 5 straight years. And then Pippen's after that, Pippen is popping. And Pippen, you will see Pippen a lot on this list. So, how do you guys want to take this category? I feel like this is a clear win for LeBron, I guess. Win for Jordan in the sense that he had less help here as All-Stars. Chris, we'll start with you here. Anything kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, it's weird because this really makes it feel like LeBron had a lot of help.
Yeah.
But it's just like you see stuff like Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman not getting All-Star nods, and you just kind of think like, wait, why? Tony Kukoc. There was, Ron Harper. Like, there's guys on this list that could have been All-Stars, and they just weren't. I mean, Mo Williams, like you mentioned, is an All-Star.
Yeah.
So like, how much do we really want to dig into this as a thing? It's a nice reference point. It's good to give the point to Jordan, but this isn't the end all be all.
Joey, your thoughts on the All-Star thing?
You can kind of shuffle it along. I mean, I guess maybe the only thing is, were there any title seasons that Jordan didn't have an All-Star teammate? Just the first one?
Just the first one, yes.
The 90, 91?
90,
Just the first one, and then there were no title seasons for LeBron where he didn't have an multiple All-Star teammates, right? Except for the Lakers here.
No, 15-16, he did not have an All-Star teammate.
Oh, so he won a title without an All-Star teammate.
Yep, he won a title, just like Jordan.
Just like Jordan. Okay.
Just like Jordan.
Right.
Just like Jordan.
He had a league leader teammate though that year. Hang on.
That's probably where it matters. Right? We're not talking league leaders yet, right?
No, but
like those are the seasons that matter, right?
He did have a league leader that season. He did have J.R. Smith, who led in turnover percentage. You're correct.
That's an amazing. What a pull you got.
What a pull. Yeah, we'll get into that too. Like
turnover percentage. So he had the least amount of turnovers in the league.
Yeah,
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. I know. I was shocked.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy. The guy that couldn't put the ball in the rim.
I guess he never wanted to turn over the ball, so it kind of makes sense.
Exactly. He was like, I just don't want to turn it over, LeBron, and mess up my percentage. So, correct me if I'm wrong, too. I got to see this. 15-16. No, that one, he did not actually win the title. That's a finals run. He made a finals run. I actually correct that.
Oh,
15,
he won in the
sorry. No.
Yeah,
15-16. I was thinking 14-15.
Yeah.
He made so many title runs. Yeah, 15-16. Yes, he did win the title. That was the 73-9 Warriors, which every time I do the research on that championship is worth so much to me personally. I will put my hand personal bias. It's an unbelievable championship. He was not a net rating contender to win that one. He had no All-Star teammate. Anything came back from 3-1 against the greatest team to ever play. All right, sorry. Anyways, I digress.
And then that created the greatest.
Yeah, well, then that created the greatest team ever played. Yes, that was ever assembled because they couldn't stop him. I want to like that one championship will forever be the reason why I think LeBron is better. But that's the only evidence I need. All right, let's continue. All NBA teams. So this again, like I said, this is the top 15 players in the league. Essentially, Jordan didn't have a teammate that, or what was I say? He didn't start having teammates on the All-NBA list until there was 3 teams. So I believe the first 3 or 4 years of his career, he did not. There was only 2 NBA teams, all NBA teams. But I don't think it mattered because he didn't have Scottie at the time. So, all right. We were starting with LeBron, so let's start with him again. He had 5 seasons and 5 individual teammates that were all NBA throughout his career, 20-year career. Jordan's 15-year career, his all-NBA teammates are 6.
And you said teammates. It's Pippen.
It's Pippen. Yes, it is Pippen.
And then you got Wade 3 times, Kyrie once, and then Anthony Davis once.
Yep. Now the other thing I will point out, I mean, LeBron played for 3 other teams. 3 different teams. So I mean, the number of people is yes, but now let's go through this. So. I don't know if you guys are going to make a differential I did not in my overall stats. Obviously, I just did the numbers 6 and 5, which then this gives a slight tick to LeBron as far as just the number there. But I did go through and look up for a second or third team All-NBA, which I felt was kind of interesting. So we'll go with LeBron. His first All-NBA teammate was in 10-11. The first Heat year was Dwayne Wade as a second teamer. The next year, Dwayne Wade was the third team. The following year, Dwayne Wade was a third team. 14-15 is the Kyrie year. He has also made the third team. And then in 19-20 is Davis, and he made the first team. So he only had one first team all NBA teammate. What did I say? One second team all NBA. So like one top 10 player in the league, and then the other times were third team NBA players. So not sure if that matters to you guys, but that was where that was. For Jordan, started in 91-92, the second year of the championship with Pippen on the second team. The year after that, Pippen was on the third team. The year after that, Pippen was on the first team. 95-96, Pippen is on the first team. 96-97, Pippen is on the second team. And then 97-98, Pippen was a third team All-NBA player. Thoughts? Joey, I'll start with you there.
I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that Dwayne Wade and Pippen were third team All NBAs at some point in their time.
Yeah, it's actually pretty wild. For like the Dwayne Wade years, it was like Russell Westbrook was second team or first team. Chris Paul was also first team or second team. I'm trying to think of some names. Yeah, there was
like when you say it like that, I guess it makes sense. It's just hard to think like Dwayne Wade was so good and iconic, but okay.
Yeah, but like the years he was playing with LeBron, he wasn't the top 4 back, you know, or
I was gonna say that I thought like off the bat that it did matter if it was first, second, or third, but based on that, I guess maybe it doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters. That much. I think
sometimes.
Go ahead.
It like to me, this is where like the nuance in like the all right, what are you waiting on? Are you just waiting all NBA teammates, or if you look at it like through the lens of all right, first team all NBA when Pippen was first team, Jordan was first team too. So you're essentially having 2 of the 5 first team NBA players on the same team. You see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about about the competition they're playing, to the level of teammate they have, this is kind of like the crux of my argument. And we'll get into one when we go to the next category. This one step kind of blew my mind. But it would be essentially like LeBron having the number 1 backcourt. You know, I mean, let's just call it, you know, what it is. Like if it was today's league, you know, where Scottie and Michael would essentially be kind of guards. Where, you know, I know Scottie was playing the 3. But to have 2 first-team guys on the same team, that's really hard to do. I mean, the only time LeBron had that happen was with Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if LeBron was a first-team NBA player that year. He might have been. I didn't write that down, but
is this a good time to throw in the caveat that I guess Pippen wasn't? Would you guys consider when Pippen came to the Bulls, was he a well-known asset at that point?
No, it was a reach.
Yeah, it was reach
in the draft.
It became I mean, like, yeah.
So is this a good time to bring up that kind of caveat of this argument that when Pippen came to the Bulls, it was an unknown, it was a reach, and because he became a top 5 player in that season, they were both top 5, but in reality, LeBron, when he went and teamed up with these guys, those were already proven assets at the top of the game. Years that Dwayne Wade and those guys were all NBAs, they were already on the cusp of that happening before LeBron went there.
Yeah, and I can
I'm
see
not
where
saying it matters. I'm just saying it's like.
And I think that's the argument a lot of people make. They go like LeBron knew he was joining these guys, and I like again that goes to me about all right. Well, what do you wait? Do you wait the fact that like LeBron knew these guys, or to me, I'm like it just comes down to help. I mean, it doesn't really like to me. It doesn't matter one way or the other. Did he? Because like, for example, Ron Harper before he came to the Bulls was like a 20 point per game scorer. Dennis Rodman before he came to the Bulls was like a 4 or 5 time all defense or defensive player of the year in the NBA. He was a 2-time All-Star. Like, are you waiting that too? I think people only really kind of apply that to LeBron, and they don't think about it when Harper. So like when I went back to those contenders that that Jordan was playing, right? One of those contenders in a specific year was the Cavs. Multiple years, actually, was the Cavs were contenders that he played on the East. Ron Harper played on those teams. So Ron Harper eventually joined the Bulls. You know what I mean? So you got Ron Harper, who is playing on a contender.
Was Ron Harper Kevin Durant before Kevin Durant?
No, he might have been. But like, same thing with Rodman with the Bad Boys Pistons. That's who Jordan had to get through, was the Bad Boys Pistons. That's the team he was playing on.
Yeah. No,
So,
that's a good counter. Rodman's a good counter that the Bulls went out and added someone like Rodman when he was already
when he was already established.
Isn't Gary Krause the only GM exec to be in the National Basketball Hall of Fame?
That might be true,
because he made some savvy moves like what you just went through with Rodman, Harper, and all. Yeah,
and I'll get to another thing with like Rodman and Pippen in particular. And so it is kind of like that, because you can look at like a guy like Jokic, right, who was a second-round pick, just like Scotty, and then became Scotty was a second-round pick, right?
Pippen, he was like the 5th overall pick.
No, I thought Pippen was a second-round pick. I could be wrong. Look at it. I swear I thought it was. Maybe not. Help me. If he was a 5th overall pick, then he's not an unknown.
This is like, if we're in season. This is embarrassing that you even have to look this up. But like,
for some reason, go ahead. But anyways,
he's the 5th overall pick in 1987.
Okay, so 5th overall pick. That's not an unknown.
No, that's not a reach.
No, he was unknown because he went to like fucking
South Alabama or wherever he went to.
Central Arkansas.
But no, he's a number 5 pick. That's it. Okay. See, I don't know why I thought he was a second round pick, but I swear I thought he was a second round pick.
Same year as Muggsy Bogues went 12th. Still can't believe that. Anyways.
So I think that isn't. I think the thing, like, to me, it ultimately comes down to help. You know what I mean? Did he have an All NBA player with him the year that he won the title? You know, and
no, I agree. I think it's worth noting in this section specifically, though, that was a teammate of his from very early on, right? And I'm not saying this is like a negative against LeBron, but like the guys that went to be on All NBA teams the years that he was on All NBA teams or had those good years, like they were already there. Right, like the Dwaynes and Anthony Davis and Bosh, like they were already at that level, and then the combination happened. So, it's the same concept, I think, with Jordan. It's just less publicized, maybe because Rodman wasn't as big of a name, but he was. I don't know. I think it's just worth noting there.
Rodman was a huge name. I think this is the other thing too. I think sometimes the memory for us is a little bit flawed, where Rodman was a huge name at the time. And like, again, like a guy like Ron Harper, who I actually didn't know was very good. Like I kind of thought Ron Harper was just a bit player. Like I said, when I look back and look at his specific stats, and like I said, he was a 20-point per game scorer in the 90s. This isn't today's 20-point per game scorers. This is a 90s guy. I mean, he's not. Yeah. He didn't make all-star teams or something like that. But
maybe the difference is that these guys came to join Jordan versus Jordan didn't go and join them, right? Like. Krause was even bringing Rodman and Harper in,
and that's the thing, you guys like. I think people put that they're like, oh, he went to join, to join the Jordan. Where I'm like, those moves are happening in the front office. The front office is going and getting those guys, and so you can look at like kind of pointing this out. So in the first 7 years that LeBron played with the Cavs, no All-Star one All-Star teammate who was injury reserve, Mo Williams. Like I said, that even you guys that name is laughable, right?
Yes.
Mo Williams being an all-star. No all-NBA players. No all-defense. Or no, one all-defensive player.
Who was the all-defensive guy?
Anderson Varejao. He was on the second team.
Varejao got
all defense. Again, that's a LeBron bump. That is, you're on the Cavs with LeBron, and we can't give the number one team
and that hair
and no award winners, and only one league leader in a category. So like. When people, will shit on him for leaving the Cavs, I'm like, I kind of, what if the Cavs had drafted a guy like Scotty, you know what I mean, to join LeBron, and then he never had to leave? All right, now would you respect him a little bit more? Or would you kind of like, again, it's, that's kind of the debate.
That's a
And
good point.
that's where I just go, to me that doesn't matter. But if that matters to you, and like, hey, Jordan stuck by the Bulls, and they drafted Scotty, and he stayed. All right, if that's what you value, I can't really argue that with you.
No, I think your counter to that thought right there
Yeah.
was really well
Yeah.
taken.
Because I think that was like one of the funniest things when I started pulling, doing these teammates, and I always do Jordan first because he's 15 seasons. I figure it's going to go faster. And then I do LeBron's. I'm like, oh, this is going to take forever. How many teammates do you have? You guys are going to be all stars, all NBAs. And I'm going through the Cavs. I'm like, none. And it's going by so fast. I'm like, wow, okay. He played with absolutely nobody on the Cavs. And I feel like, then the guys are like, well, he left and went to the Heat. I'm like, yeah, but dude, he was playing with bums, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we name any players that Cleveland drafted?
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Luke Jackson.
Oh, cool.
Was the #1 pick at the following year. Verjao was drafted next year, actually, 2nd round, 1st pick.
See, that would be good to go through, and this is like where this debate it could be endless. You can go through, all right, who did the Cavs miss? Like, who could the Cavs?
I'm just looking,
That was
and
senior Dwight.
Yeah.
there are not players.
Boobie Gibson was 2 years. They didn't have a pick in 2005.
That was the year they went to the finals.
But why didn't they have
I
a
guess
pick in
2011 was Kyrie, so that was.
But that was the year after LeBron.
That was
left.
way after he left. They took J.J. Hickson. Remember, he was supposed to be a name. Daniel Gibson was kind of that big guy, that Mo Williams type. He got a big LeBron
Gibson.
In 2011, they took Kyrie #1 and then Tristan Thompson #4.
Yeah, that was the year after LeBron left, so they had all the picks.
Yeah.
They didn't draft, and then they drafted his eventual teammate.
Yeah.
There, so when he came back to the Cavs, they had drafted Kyrie. So what's the problem there?
You guys.
It's wild. No, the Cavs did a terrible job. All right.
They really did. All right. Good point. All right. Good counter. Continue.
We talked about all defensive teammates there. So for LeBron, since I mentioned Verjao, that is one of the 2 all defensive teammates he had in his 20-year career. The other one being Anthony Davis in 1920. So if you're going to point out a year that LeBron had the most help, it's going to be 1920 with the Lakers. His 17th season in the league, by the way. That's 2 years more than Jordan played. I'm just pointing that out. Like Jordan was retired.
He's entering his 17th season.
Yeah. AD, AD is? Or no, KD? KD? Wow. He's played 17 years? Jesus. So that was Anthony Davis as an all-star, Anthony Davis as a first-team All-NBA, and Anthony Davis first-team All-Defense. So a lot of help that year for the Lakers. At least that could be the Anthony Davis title.
It's not, but
it could be.
Right,
if you were scoring points against LeBron.
Can we talk about this award winners category where you have a 1 and a 0? What's the 1 going on here?
Let's finish through all defense though. We got that was just LeBron. So Jordan's all defensive teammates. He had 9. So that one is a resounding win for Jordan. We'll go through these quickly. As you're going to guess, a lot of Pippen. So it started in 1991. Pippen on the second team all defense. Next year, Pippen was a first-team defensive player. The year after that, he had Pippen on the first team and Horace Grant on the second team. The year after that, actually, no, you know what? It's 8. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. 94, 95, I had Horace Grant, but Horace Grant was on the Magic at the time. Correction there. Pippen was the first team all defense. 95, 96. This is a year that stands out to me. He had Pippen on the first team, Rodman on the first team. And then the year after that, 96, 97, Pippen first team, 97, 98, Pippen first team. So he had a lot of defensive help.
He had Scottie Pippen.
He had Scottie. Well, I mean, Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman, too, made the team.
You mean Ron Harper? Ron Harper made 1.
No, Ron Harper didn't make it.
Oh, they
all
said
defensive
Ron
team?
Harper.
No, Rodman. So, like I said, the year that stood out for me, 95, 96. Now, this is the 72 and 10 year, so obviously a lot of accolades are coming. But Pippen was on the All-Star team. Jordan and Pippen were first-team All-NBA. All defense, this is the one that was staggering to me. First-team All-NBA had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. So 3 of the 5 best defenders in the league were on the Bulls. And then going into your award winners that year had Kukoc as the 6th man. and actually Phil Jackson as the coach of the year.
Jerry Krause, executive of the year.
Yeah, executive of the year. Joey, let's go to you here. All defensive players. Now, did this have as much weight as all NBA? Not as much, kind of just because it's defense, or how do you feel about this one? The number.
I just want to add, Jordan was on 9 all defensive teams. So just to, I'm being devil's advocate here because obviously we know where I'm standing on this, but
yeah,
Jordan was on 9 all defensive teams. LeBron was on 6.
Oh, wow.
So to add to the wrinkle of, it wasn't just that Jordan had top defensive teammates, he was also one of those top defensive players as well. So
Yeah.
he was putting in the work, and he wasn't just benefiting from that. He was benefiting because obviously, right, when you have more defenders and not just you, that makes a difference. But
yeah,
again, not to skew it, to just say that it was all the teammates that make these guys better. Both of them, 6 and 9 is good. But I think the all NBA is more important than the all defensive. Because all NBA, I guess it's kind of offensive, but it should be a combination of both.
yeah.
But again, like I'm not seeing this vast divide in these numbers yet. I know there's some coming up that kind of
Yeah, the next
show
one, but
a lot more of a vast divide. But I think the years when these guys were winning titles, they both had a fair amount of help.
yeah, and I think anytime you win a title, you need help. But let's go through. So let's go through the final runs real quick, and then we'll get into this last category of league leaders. I think that's a little bit crazy. Well, actually, let's talk about awards real quick. So LeBron never played with an award winner. So he never played with a rookie of the year, never played with a 6-man, never played with defensive player of the year, and obviously never played with an MVP. I mean, those guys, Jordan and LeBron, are never going to play with an MVP. That's not going to happen. Jordan only played with the one. It was Kukoc. He won the six man of the year award. I like for me.
That's kind of fun. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a 6-man there, coming off the bench. To me, those things, and like the all defense one in particular, it's kind of, to me, like that really emphasizes the help, and it really emphasizes how good these guys were. And I think this is kind of another crux of my argument. Like, to me, I go, if you take those 90s Bulls teams and you take Jordan off and you put in Charles Barkley, if you put in Clyde Drexler. Now, do they go 6-0? I don't think so, but I think they win a few titles. I think they're real good teams with those kind of guys on there. I'm trying to think of some other comparable guys in that area. Sean Kemp, maybe he was another guy that made a finals there. That's kind of what I mean, because these guys were around him, were also great defenders on his own. When we get into like the league leader stuff, I'll show you some stuff with Pippen and Rodman too. But yeah, these guys were, so multiple times, their team had 3 of the best defenders in the league, of the top 10 defenders in the league. I mean, again, positionally.
Interesting. Can I pose that question back to you or Chris? Chris, maybe jump in here too. So you're saying in the 90s, if you took Jordan off those teams and put in another one of the, call it, top 10 players,
superstar, another superstar.
Yeah. You're thinking one of those teams, maybe they don't win, 2 3-peats, but there's a few titles to be had in there.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Okay. But during LeBron's time, if you took him off of the Heat or the Cavs and swapped in else,
KD.
KD, I mean, that's possible.
Is there a player you could have swapped in, maybe?
Yeah,
I don't think they win. I mean, they definitely don't get that Cleveland. LeBron's the only player that can win that Cleveland championship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that bubble one.
Yeah.
maybe the Miami ones if you had Kevin Durant instead.
Yeah, if you had Kevin Durant, those Miami teams, they're winning. They're going to the finals too. Yeah.
That's an interesting point though with Jordan. Take Jordan off. I mean, when Jordan was off the team, didn't they win like 50+ games that following season without him?
They were a contender the following season without him.
They were still they were a bad call away from reaching the conference finals again.
So like going to your what you were saying, Joey. So like his first finals trip, which is his 3rd season in the league. So he's 21 years old, by the way. absolutely no help. No All-Star, no All-NBA, no All-Defense, no award winners, no league leaders. Absolutely nothing. When the next time he goes, it's Wade and Bosch are All-Stars, and then Wade on the All-NBA team, nothing else. And for all of Miami's run, essentially that's what it was. The year after that, Wade and Bosch All-Star, Wade All-NBA, Wade and Bosch All-Star, Wade All-NBA. The last year in Miami, Wade and Bosch were All-Stars, but he had no All-NBA teammates, no All-Defensive teammates, and no league leaders. First year in Cleveland, they went to the finals again. Kyrie All-Star, Kyrie All-NBA. The year after that, when they win the title, no help, no All-Star, no All-NBA, no All-Defense, no award winner. One league leader, like we mentioned, J.R. Smith, turnover percentage. In 14, or the next year in 16-17, Kyrie Love All-Stars, no All-NBA players, no All-Defensive players, no award winners. The year after that, Kyrie and Love All-Star, no All-NBA, no All-Defense. And then the year in LA where he had All-Star, All-NBA, and All-Defense Davis. Now you look at Jordan's 90-91, the first year. Pippen is the only help he had here, and with all defense, and that was it. Randomly, he had the all-rookie first team, Kendall Gill, on his team, which was kind of cool. I just noted that. That means nothing, though.
Kendall.
I just want to shout that out. The year after that, Pippen All-Star, Pippen All-NBA, Pippen All-Defense. Year after that, Pippen All-Star, Pippen All-NBA, Pippen and Grant All-Defense. In 94-95, when they lost to the Magic, Pippen All-Star, Pippen All-NBA, Pippen All-Defense, and like I said, and then in 96 or 95-96, the 72-10, Pippen All-Star, Pippen All-NBA, Pippen and Rodman All-Defense, Kukoc six-man. The year after that, Pippen, and then the final year in Chicago, no All-Star teammate, but Pippen All-NBA and Pippen All-Defense. So, like, he never got to the title without Pippen, without somebody on the all-defensive team, at least. The only time it was the first time was Pippen was all-defense. Other than that, he had somebody in the All-Star team, All-NBA, or an all-defense. And actually, only the last year is the only time he didn't have all three of those categories. So.
Mic drop moment. I'm Titus there.
That was weird. Yeah, I accidentally hit enter my things right on the keyboard. Sorry about that. That'll get fixed in post. So, all right, given that, Joey, now what do you think about that? Did that make a difference to you? Or are you frozen?
Is he frozen?
He might be frozen. I thought he was just
frozen.
He's salty face. Now, Chris, did that make a difference to you?
The number of
that, like, every finals year, I mean, Jordan had an All-NBA and All-Defensive player and an All-Star, essentially.
Yeah. And it's like, because look at, like, I'm trying to look at, like, the Heat years with LeBron, where he had Bosh and Dwayne Wade, but it's like, but the help he had, there weren't any league leaders, teammates there. There wasn't anything that was significantly helpful compared to what you see here with Pippen, and with Rodman later. It's just like, okay, maybe those guys were all-timers, and we should be ranking them higher than we currently do.
Yeah, and I think kind of through the argument, like, Dwayne Wade is an all-time player. I just don't know if he was an all-time player at the time he played with LeBron. You know what I mean? I think he was in the sort of the peak to waning peak of his career.
He definitely was. I just think when you look at, like, Pippen versus Wade in all-time rankings, you're ranking Pippen higher. 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
You better be. Are you kidding?
I might have ranked Wade higher.
No way. Okay.
All right, that's a whole other debate. So, Joey, going back to, did that make any kind of difference, kind of pointing out the finals runs and the sort of the level of teammates they had? Again, I know it's just Pippen, and it essentially ends up being just Wade and Bosh and Kyrie, you know what I mean, for LeBron. So,
yeah, I think it did make a difference a little bit for me. I just, it's hard to, like,
I just don't want to admit it, man.
When you put this all, when you put it all together.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, this is agreed to you. I think like it's weird to think that like Pippen was that good,
Yeah.
and because Jordan was so good too, we forget how important and good Scotty was. And there were so many other big names that like it was only, hey, Jordan is beating Barkley and Jordan is beating Patrick Ewing and Jordan's beating all these guys that like it wasn't, you didn't include Scotty in it. But then you look at the people who were watching basketball and people who were giving these awards and all these stats out and whatnot. It's like, Pippen was there and he was a significant contributor, which kind of makes you understand why Scotty feels the way that he does today.
Yeah.
But I guess like when you put it like the way that you put it, it's hard to think that like the years that Kyrie was an all-star, he wasn't an all-NBA player.
Yeah. And that to me kind of points like the popularity of the vote. Yeah. Like Kyrie's a very popular guy. And it could be, I think the eras too, there could be differences in there where guys rest and things like to me, that could be, an argument of why maybe LeBron doesn't have as many all defensive teams, whatever. Guys kind of, slack off. It could just be the level of competition too, where you could look at it and go, all right, is Kyrie one of the two best guards in the league, on a given year? And it's like, probably not when he's playing with, like prime Chris Paul.
Yeah. But like, what you're saying, like if there's 15 spots on these teams, and for them to say, we give one to LeBron and then we can't find another teammate of his to put in these 14 other spots. But almost every year that Jordan was there, Scotty was right there with him. Yeah.
And that's kind of what,
Yeah.
And so, I kind of wish I went through and go ahead.
No, I think it just adds to the point, like you're saying, like the years that LeBron won titles, he was doing a lot of the heavy lifting on his own.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a lot of my argument too, is like this guy is just, he was the main reason, where I think, a lot of people put that on Jordan, which I'm not saying Jordan was like nothing. Jordan did a lot of stuff. You convinced me that Pippen is the GOAT. 1A, exactly. And I think that's it. Like, I think in today's league, you would look at Pippen as a 1A, or like 1A, 2A situation, because Pippen was that good. Like Pippen was just
Pippen's Kawhi.
Awesome.
Kawhi. Imagine Kawhi actually playing. Right?
Yeah, that's Pippen.
That's what Pippen. That's Pippen.
Yeah, that's Pippen. That's true.
That's why I look at it.
All right. Let's go to the final category. This one gets a little murky. So
okay.
So this is league leaders. But this one, it was kind of fun. It was a little murky. It took me a while to kind of get my head around it, but it was kind of fun to go through. So, like I said up front, NBA reference keeps track every season of 50 categories.
You're talking about NBA reference or basketball reference?
Basketball reference, Jesus.
Okay.
Yes, I keep saying NBA reference.
I didn't know if there was that. Yeah, just want
and some of these categories are a little repetitive. I will say, like rebounding and then rebound percentage and offensive rebounding percentage. There's a lot of nitty gritty, but it was kind of fun to go through and see the league leaders. I will point out, if we ever do the statistic category, pulling Jordan's league leading amount is going to be insane. If you have some time to look at reference and you want to, you're a Jordan fan, look up those early 84, 85 seasons for him and just go to league leaders. Same thing with 86, 87. My God, that dude was a beast. So you will not hear any. He essentially led everything. It was wild, man. Like so many categories. But anyways, some of them are shot attempts, weird things like that too. I'm not saying all these categories are indicative, but I was trying to find some other things just to kind of get some metrics. So I started doing this for Jordan, like I said. And then when I went to LeBron, it was kind of a graveyard. So the total for league leaders, I actually don't have the stat up. When you guys got the final numbers, was it 28 or 29 for Jordan?
It's got 29, but 29, okay. Can I talk about some of these 29 categories you decided to highlight here?
LeBron had 2, right? 2.
Okay.
Yes,
but can we talk about the ones that you highlighted here?
Yeah, what did I highlight?
You got rebounding 5 times.
Yes.
So rebounding.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Total rebound percentage,
right,
offensive rebound percentage, defensive rebound percentage. Okay, yeah, Rodman is very good at rebounding the basketball.
Okay, you're making my point for me. Here's what I'm going to do. So let's start with Rodman. Okay, so this is what I mean, where these categories are very, very repetitive. So Rodman led the league in rebounds per game, offensive rebounds, offensive rebound percentage, defensive rebound percentage, and total rebound percentage. I get it. He's a great rebounder. That's what we know. But what I ended up kind of like pointing out to myself was just how hard it is to lead the league in categories. Because that's the other thing too. It wasn't always like when I looked up other rebounding years, I looked to see like, is this a consistent pattern? This isn't always the pattern. The guy that leads in rebounds isn't always the guy that leads in rebound percentage. It doesn't always lead in offensive rebound percentage. It's kind of different throughout the years. But when you see a guy have a run like Rodman had, or if you look at one of the early years where one of the first guys Jordan played with that was the league leader was Charles Oakley, also led in rebounds. So one year he led in total rebounds, defensive rebounds, and defensive rebound percentage. So again, I get it. Those are very repetitive stats, but it kind of shows how dominant of a rebounder these guys were. Same thing with like Rodman, Pippen. So the year that he didn't, so if you want to talk about like how good Pippen was, the year that Jordan didn't play the full season, the 94-95, Pippen led in defensive rating. So that's the overall defensive rating for the league. He was essentially the best defender in the league, by defensive rating. He led in steal percentage, steals, and steals per game. Like the dude is a beast, man. And so I did it. I did this kind of figuring it was going to be about the same, just like everything kind of was. You know what I mean? Even though Jordan kind of has the lead in some of these categories, they're really not much different as far as all NBA teammates and all defensive teammates. What it was like, 5 to 6 in all NBA teammates, and then all defense was 8 to 2. So again, a little bit of disparity, but then when you go to 17 to 6 for all-stars, that kind of makes up the all defensive thing, where the league leaders was 29 different categories is what I had. 29 categories to 2 categories for LeBron. So he only ever played with 2 teammates that led the league in something. It was Zydrunas Ilgauskas, who led in offensive rebounds, and J.R. Smith, who led in turnover percentage, like we have highlighted multiple times. So yeah, 5 individual players. 2 times B.J. Armstrong and Steve Kerr led the league in 3-point percentage. So 2 years, 2 championship years. Oh, no, sorry. 94-95 was not a championship year. But he did play with the best 3-point shooter in the league. That's something.
So it's 5 to 2.
Yeah, it's 5 to 2. But when you count the categories, I was saying the categories is what I was counting.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
The 29. The categories themselves are 29 to 2.
Yeah. But you would assume that the person that leads the league in offensive rebounds would also lead in offensive rebound percentage. So that's like a double count. So really,
I mean,
to mine
you would.
It's 5 to 2, right? They had 5 category leading teammates. LeBron has had 2 category leading teammates. Pippen just happened to lead multiple categories multiple times. Rodman led multiple categories multiple times.
Again, you could say it in that way. They happen to lead categories. I can go, this is one of the greatest rebounders to ever play the game. And I think that the fact that he's a league leader proves
it.
You
can't just...
No, but
I know, but I feel...
we're talking about who played with better players. This is the argument. I'm talking about this guy played with arguably the greatest rebounder of all time.
Right. Your argument still stands. It's 5 to 2. Jordan had more league leading rebounds, but I think it's unfair to say that it's like a 29 to 2.
That's
count,
in categories.
Right.
That's
it's
the categories they led.
Right. It's closer than it looks. Jordan just happened to have 2 all-time greats. Right.
Yeah.
There were 2 all-time greats in their respective categories of what they did. I'm not arguing that.
No.
I'm just arguing to say that, like, when you feel like, he had 29 versus 2, that just makes it seem wrong to me. I think it's important to say that it was a little bit closer than that.
No,
I think it's the right culmination of all of your other categories, right? It's the culmination of Jordan had Pippen and Rodman, who were league leaders in multiple categories at multiple times in their careers. They were all defensive players. They were all NBA players, and they were all stars. LeBron played with people who had all NBA nods, all defensive nods, some all-star nods, but he did not have guys who were dominating the league in individual categories, right?
Yes.
When it came down to
that's a fair way to put it.
the when it came down to the competition that he was up against, his teammates did not stack up against that competition as good as Jordan's teammates did. Jordan's teammates were much better suited to go against the level of competition because they were leading the league in stat categories where LeBron's weren't.
Yeah. And so, like, to give, again, a frame of reference to this too. So, like I said, there's 50 categories per season that it keeps track of. So for Jordan's career, the total possible categories was like there's 750 possible categories. So he could have had 750, league leading categories. That number. LeBron's is 1,000, for the 20 years times 50. So it's just, to me, kind of stuck out that you go, he's played with some all-time greats in LeBron's sense, Wade, Bosh, Davis. And to not have Davis lead the league in rebounds a year that he played with him, you know what I mean? To not have Davis lead in percentage or defensive rating, Davis is one of the best defenders in the league. He's one of the best rebounders. At no point did Davis lead the league in a category, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, so play games to actually lead categories.
True. You do have to. But then, again, that
be present.
It goes to show.
It's part of it. It's part of it. I mean,
it's part of it.
You have to be playing in games, right, to be a good teammate.
And then to me, really, really, what it showed to me was that, like, it showed, like, how much better those guys were than the competition. Like you said, you could see, like, Rodman is an all-time great in the air, even when he was playing with the Bulls. He was still that great. And then, like, the weird thing that was kind of that I thought was kind of funny was that he had the 3-point leader in percentage, so the best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah,
give LeBron the best 3-point shooter in the league. It's a little bit different, nowadays than it was then.
Kyle Korver. What do you mean?
But he wasn't the best 3-point shooter in the league at the time. I mean, he had really good 3-point shooters.
Ray Allen. I don't know. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, he played with Ray Allen, and Ray Allen never led the league in 3-point percentage the year he played with the Heat. You know what I mean?
3-point percentage is weird because, like, Luke Kennard, I think, led the league in that last year.
It's kind of weird.
Like, I mean, he was good, but it's just. Yeah.
And I think it's different in the 90s. That's one of those ones where I really didn't kind of, like, put too much weight in that. But, it's just to point out, like, in those 90s eras teams where 3.1 was shooting was less, and to still have, guys that were elite shooters around them, it's pretty telling. But
no,
go ahead.
I mean, my final thought after all of this is I think you've convinced me on this one.
Nice.
Right? I think you've brought me over to this one, that after going through some of this and the amount of accolades that Scottie had, I think we lose sight of that as Chicago fans. I think we lose sight of how great and important he was. And you kind of put that into picture. I think there's also that continuity, right? There wasn't this movement of players and movement of teams. So, like, those teams were together and those guys knew what was going on every single time they went and played together. So they went and did it. I think that's worth something. LeBron did it with big names, but those big names apparently were not getting the accolades, or were just up against tougher competition at their positions at the times they were playing. So in terms of who had the better teammate, nod goes to Jordan, but in the inverse of that, that's a point to LeBron in terms of
in the debate
carrying the weight. Yep.
Chris, your final thoughts?
Yeah. So I think everything put together is really well thought out, and I think
Thank you, Chris.
You have a lot of interesting points. I love the detail you went to in some of this. All that being said, I am starting to flip more, thinking that Jordan should just be considered the greatest of all time. We can exhaust everything that we're doing, and I constantly, it's not even from this argument. From this, it's like, yeah, it should be LeBron. But when I'm thinking about, like, I never thought I would see somebody do what LeBron did again.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, I've been watching Nikola Jokic just tear up the NBA in this unorthodox fashion, putting up unreal kind of stats and kind of taking that kind of baton in a way that nobody really wants to talk about yet. So I think I still need to see it from LeBron to kind of compete at a high level, even though he's entering his 21st
26th
NBA season. It's never been done before. Anybody averaged more than like 6 points a game from
6
Kevin
points,
Willis.
yes.
And it's just the Cavs kind of ruined them, you know, it sucks.
They wasted it.
It taints it, and that's why I have to go through all these like, well, no, but if you see what happened here, and then they took Luke Jackson and JJ Hickson, the ownership sucks, and David Blatt, and all this stuff, and it's like the fact is though, like that's the card he was dealt, and when you look at Jordan, it's 6 rings, and the fact that he did it in this manner is still impressive, and he made players like Barkley look lesser because of that. He made Magic Johnson look lesser, and I think we kind of discount. Well, because he beat him, right? Like,
Magic had 5 titles prior to that.
Yeah, I was reading a thing that Magic only played 12 seasons, but he made it to the finals 9 times.
Yeah, that was
9
good. We made his first season.
He only stopped playing because of AIDS, right?
Yeah,
he could probably be. Yeah. He should probably be the greatest of all time if it wasn't for AIDS.
I mean, he played with Kareem. That's the thing. Like, nobody's going to consider him.
He won without Kareem too, right? So
I think he did, but like you win the first 2 or 3 with the best guy.
And he won Game 7 without Kareem. What are we talking about? But
here we go.
That's an whole other thing. Winning time's back. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh yeah, I know. I got to watch that.
But I'm just gonna watch this season. I'll go back and forth again. But man, what Jordan did was just.
It's unreal. No,
I've been forgetting about it, and then you watch that, but then you go to the rabbit hole of LeBron, what he did. You forget about that. You just get in awe of both people. I just want to appreciate both. I don't care about the GOAT. I just want to. I like the GOAT starting 5. You got Magic, you got Michael, you got LeBron, you got Timmy D, and you got Kareem.
Oh, Kareem. All right, that's fine.
So that's how I have it. And then people are talking about Stephen Curry versus Magic, which whatever. Anyways, that's my spiel on it.
I think one thing I do want to point out, because Joey kind of said it and then kind of closed my arguments here. The multiple teams thing is interesting. So that I will looking through this, like Chris, what you're saying, and things are kind of coming to light. I think you see that year, that 94-95 year, they were still a really good team, the Bulls were, but they were transitioning. They didn't have all their pieces. They didn't have Rodman. They were switching from, Horace Grant and B.J. Armstrong and all these guys, Kukoc and Steve Kerr, and that's the year they get beat. You know what I mean? And again, I know Jordan wasn't there, so a huge caveat, but Jordan came back, and was there for the playoffs. And that's the year they get beat. LeBron changed teams twice during his era, with the Heat, and then went 4 straight, went to the Cavs, went 4 straight, and went a year with the Cavs prior and a year with the Lakers after. To do it that many different times is still, to me, is very impressive, even though he didn't have the wins. And I think one of the things I want to do, my whole thing is I think this debate is a lot closer than I think it is, or that other people think for Jordan think it is. I think it's basically a coin flip. It's kind of what you feel on. My whole point is make the argument on facts. Like, stop saying Jordan played better team, better competition, when every time LeBron went to the finals, he was going up against a historically great team or all-time great team. Or stop saying Jordan didn't have, did it by himself when he played with one of the greatest players of that era, and Scottie Pippen. That's kind of my thing. Like, make the argument on, hey, I just actually think, Jordan was better. I like what he did. I like that he didn't go to, switch teams. That stuff's fine. I'm not can't argue with that, but that's kind of my thing. Let's stop making it about stupid shit with LeBron and start, giving him some credit for what he did.
Well, and kind of going off of one of the things you were saying reminded me of something I was thinking about, where like LeBron did it just on a new team, right? He went to Miami and formed that team, and he made it look easy. And now everyone's been trying to replicate that since, and it hasn't been.
It doesn't happen.
Done. Like when KD went to the Warriors, it's an established team. Kawhi goes to Toronto, it's already an established team, just adding Kawhi, right? And now KD's been trying to do that with Brooklyn. Now he's going to Phoenix, trying to do that, and he's still, and it looks like if KD fails, maybe it heightens LeBron even more in some cases, because it's like Kawhi's been trying to do in LA now, right, for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's been failing with Paul George. So I don't know, man. Like, what LeBron did was incredible, and I keep going back and forth on this. So
yeah, because you can even say that too. Like, KD did it with the Warriors. When KD went, they went twice, or no, 3 times. They went two
They
times.
only
they
won twice.
They only won twice with
Yep.
KD, and then they never go back. Where like LeBron goes and each team he goes 4 straight times.
Well, and it's always hilarious that Golden State won it before him and after him. Like, it's just
Yeah.
incredible.
It was kinda cool.
That's a thing.
And then the last thing I wanted to point out, you pointed out Jokic, who's been tearing up the league, and he has for the last couple of years, and has won, multiple MVPs, made one final. You know what I mean? Like, he's a great player, and
Yeah.
you will not hear me talk anything bad about Jokic. And what if he doesn't make another final? He's
It's
still gonna
just
be a great
starting,
player,
man. It's
but
just starting. Like,
it
he-
shows you how hard it is to make the finals and to win.
Yeah.
That's all I would say. It's incredibly hard to do it. So with that, boys, we can call it a night. We will be back a week or two, we were thinking. I think we definitely want to do a
we'll talk.
rebuttal
We'll talk
episode.
offline. I have an
We'll talk
idea for next
offline.
week, but yeah.
We'll see what happens. But if we're not back next week, we'll be back the week after that. And then basically season starting soon, and we'll start all our preseason stuff, start debating. We can start lining up our shows, get our picks in. It's going to be fun. Joey's already counting down days to the Bulls season pregame. What a junkie this man is. He's ready. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. Well, that is it for us tonight. Join us next week to talk more NBA basketball. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Slide into those DMs at the Box Out Boys. Join us live Wednesdays around 8:30. Send us an email to theboxoutboys@gmail.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to this at now. We very much appreciate that. So for Chris, Joey, and Adam, I'm Titus. Until next time, Box Out.